Thank you for joining us. This webcast is intended to help you understand the annual special education ratings process. We will cover answers to these questions. What are special education ratings? What do ratings currently measure? How are the ratings currently calculated? How are special education ratings different from special education profiles? What will the ratings measure in the future? How will future ratings be calculated? And who do I contact for help or more information? Let's start with talking about what special education ratings are. Every year, districts and community schools receive a rating on the performance of their special education programs. In past years, this was called the Special Education Determination. This year, it is renamed the Special Education Rating. Annual special education ratings for states and local school districts are part of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act of 2004, or IDEA. These ratings evaluate implementation of IDEA requirements. Ohio and every other state receives an annual special education rating from the U.S. Department of Education. To make annual special education ratings for districts, the Ohio Department of Education uses final data that districts submit through the Education Management Information System, or EMIS. These data result in one of four ratings: meets requirements, needs assistance, needs intervention, or needs substantial intervention. Now, let's look closely at what district ratings are based on. According to the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Special Education Programs, states must base annual district special education ratings on: number 1, performance on compliance indicators; number 2, timely correction of noncompliance; number 3, submission of valid, reliable, and timely data; and 4, audit findings specific to use of IDEA funds. District special education ratings also can include performance on results indicators. It's important to note that results indicators measure student performance or outcomes, such as graduation rates, while compliance indicators measure procedural compliance, with state or federal timelines, for example. Let's look more closely at the measures currently included in Ohio's special education ratings. Ratings are currently based on 9 measures of procedural compliance. The compliance indicators included are Indicator 4B, which measures disproportionality in suspension and expulsion rates; Indicator 9, which measures disproportionality in special education identification rates across disability categories; Indicator 10, which measures disproportionality in special education identification rates in specific categories; Indicator 11, which measures completion of initial evaluations within timelines; Indicator 12, which measures timely transition from early intervention services to preschool special education; and Indicator 13, which measures secondary transition planning and services. Current ratings are based on 3 additional measures of procedural compliance, which are timely correction of noncompliance, submission of valid, reliable, and timely EMIS data, and audit findings related to the use of IDEA funds, based on audits conducted by the Ohio Auditor of State's Office. To determine each district's overall rating based on 9 different measures, the Ohio Department of Education Office for Exceptional Children first calculates an average score by dividing the district's total points across measures by the number of measures for which the district has data. This will be no more than 9, but not every district has data for every measure each year. After calculating the average, the department identifies the district's rating by linking the average to the corresponding rating category. This table shows the point ranges for each rating category. This method of determining an overall rating is similar to calculating a grade point average. A number of states use the GPA approach as it is typically understandable and allows for the combination of multiple measures to arrive at a single score. This table shows the number of districts in each category for last year's ratings. With only compliance measures included, a large majority of districts met requirements. The total reflects more than 1,000 entities because states give ratings to all local education agencies that receive IDEA funding. This includes districts, community schools, county boards of developmental disabilities, and Ohio's state-supported schools. This map shows the 2014 ratings for school districts only. It's important to note that districts can receive meets requirements if they are at 95% or above on the compliance indicators. Multiple years of a needs assistance rating, indicated by pink and red spots on the map, tend to reflect systemic noncompliance issues, though not always for the same indicator. Let's talk a bit about how special education ratings are different from special education profiles. Special education profiles and special education ratings are Ohio's two primary special education accountability initiatives. The department issues these to every district every year. It is often helpful to examine the primary differences between the profiles and the ratings. Special education profiles represent the kickoff activity for the year, and districts typically receive them in early November. Special education ratings are the culminating activity for the year, and districts typically receive them in late June. While both are web-based reports, special education profiles display the district's data for the last 5 years in table and graph format. Special education ratings display data only for the previous school year, so the 2015 determinations are based on data from 2013-14. Special education profiles include compliance indicators and results indicators. Until 2017, special education ratings will include only compliance indicators. We'll talk more about the change in 2017 next. Special education profiles are used to notify districts of any required actions for the school year based on findings of noncompliance, data investigations, or selection for survey participation. By the time special education ratings are issued in June, indicators with required actions already have been or are being addressed. Special education profiles include required actions for compliance rates of less than 100%. Special education ratings give full scores for substantial compliance rates of 95% or above. Now, let's talk about some upcoming changes for the special education ratings process. In 2017, the department will add student results measures to the special education ratings process. Ratings will be based on the compliance measures we covered previously, as well as results measures. As Ohio transitions to new state tests, Safe Harbor gives schools, teachers, and students time to adjust to the new test. Since Safe Harbor has been granted to districts for the 2015-2016 school year, results measures won't be included in special education ratings until 2016-2017. However, we want to show what districts' ratings would be if results measures were included starting this year, so everyone knows what to expect and has time to prepare. This means that this year's special education ratings reports will show each district's actual rating based only on compliance measures and its projected rating based on compliance measures and results measures. Here's what the process will look like for the next 3 years. In 2015 and 2016, special education rating reports will show each district's actual rating based only on compliance measures and its projected rating based on compliance measures and results measures. Beginning in 2017, special education ratings will include compliance measures and results measures. The results measures that will be included are the percent of students with disabilities scoring proficient or above on state math assessments across all grades, the percent of students with disabilities scoring proficient or above on state reading assessments across all grades, and the percent of students with disabilities scoring proficient or above on the state's third grade reading assessment. The last measure gives extra weight to third grade reading proficiency because improving early literacy outcomes is the focus of our state systemic improvement plan. This table shows how points will be assigned for the math proficiency rate across all grades. Points are assigned based on distance from the target for this indicator. Targets were established by Ohio's Stakeholder Advisory Group for Special Education. These targets reflect annual improvement over the current statewide math proficiency rate for students with disabilities. Districts that meet or exceed the target of 45.6% receive a full score, or 4 points. Districts that are at or above the average of those who miss the target receive 3 points. From there, points are assigned based on standard deviation from the mean. Standard deviation provides a measure of how much performance varies across the state in relation to the target. Districts within 1 standard deviation below the mean receive 2 points. Those that are 1 to 2 standard deviations below the mean receive 1 point. And those that are more than 2 standard deviations below the mean, that is, a 0 proficiency rate, receive no points. This table shows how points will be assigned for the reading proficiency rate across all grades and just for third grade. Just like the math proficiency rate, points are assigned based on the distance from the target. Targets were established by Ohio's Stakeholder Advisory Group for Special Education. These targets reflect annual improvement over the current statewide reading proficiency rate for students with disabilities. Districts that meet or exceed the target of 55.9% receive a full score of 4 points. Districts that are at or above the average of those who miss the target receive 3 points. From there, points are assigned based on standard deviation from the mean, just like with the math proficiency rate. This table shows how points will be assigned for the reading proficiency rate for third grade. Points are assigned using the same process we covered for the math and reading proficiency rate across all grades. Note that the targets are the same for both reading proficiency measures because we don't have different targets by grade level. However, the point ranges are different because the distribution of performance is different. In general, third grade reading proficiency rates are lower than reading proficiency rates across all grades, resulting in different ranges for assigning points. Now that we've covered how points will be assigned for the results measures, let's summarize how we will arrive at an overall score. This year and next year, districts' actual ratings will be based only on compliance measures, so the first step you see will be the only one in the calculation. However, we also want to provide a projected rating so you are prepared for the impact of the results measures. First, we start by totaling the points across the compliance measures and dividing that total by the number of measures for which the district has data. The number of measures can be up to 9, but many community schools do not have data for every measure. This calculation provides the compliance score. We will then total the points across the results measures and divide that total by the number of measures for which the district has data. This number of measures can be up to 3. The results of this calculation provides the results score. We'll then calculate an average of the compliance score and results score to arrive at an overall score. The overall score corresponds to a point range for each rating category. These point ranges are the same as those used for the current rating process, based only on compliance measures. If you have specific questions about your district's actual or projected rating, contact the Office for Exceptional Children at determinations@education.ohio.gov. For assistance with improving your rating, please contact your regional state support team. Thank you for viewing this webcast. We hope it has been helpful. You can find more information and resources on our website using the keyword search Special Education Ratings.